The first time Jace noticed the creature, he thought it was a trick of the light filtering through the smog of New Terminus Station. The thing was small, no bigger than a house cat, with iridescent scales that shifted between deep purple and silver. It sat across the alley from his garage, wings folded tight against its serpentine body, watching him with eyes that held far too much intelligence for something so young. Jace didn't think much of it. The station attracted all manner of exotic life forms, most of them lost or looking for trouble. He went back to his work, elbow deep in the quantum drive of a Krelian freighter, cursing as the coupling refused to align properly. The next morning, the creature was still there. Jace paused at the garage entrance, coffee in hand, and stared at the small dragon-like being. It hadn't moved from its spot. Its scales looked duller now, less vibrant. A thin layer of frost had formed on its wings from the station's night cycle. The creature's eyes followed him as he approached, but it made no sound, no movement toward him. "You lost, little guy?" Jace asked, keeping his distance. The creature's tail twitched. "Nothing more." Jace shrugged and went inside. He had 3 repairs to finish before the cycle's end, and strange aliens weren't his problem. The galaxy was full of species he'd never seen, never would see. This was just another one passing through. By the 3rd day, Jace's curiosity had turned to concern. The creature, he'd started thinking of it as a hatchling, given its size and the way it moved with uncertain grace, looked worse. Its scales had lost nearly all their luster, and it swayed slightly where it sat as if keeping upright required tremendous effort. But still it watched the garage. Still it waited. Jace had seen desperation before. You didn't work on a frontier station without recognizing it in all its forms. This hatchling wasn't waiting for him specifically. It was waiting for anyone. Anyone who might show it a shred of kindness in a universe that clearly hadn't been kind so far. He set down his plasma wrench and grabbed a ration bar from his locker. Stepping outside, he broke the bar in half and tossed one piece toward the creature. It landed a meter away. The hatchling looked at the food, then at Jace. It didn't move. "Suit yourself," Jace muttered, turning back. He made it 3 steps before he heard the soft scrape of claws on metal. When he glanced back, the hatchling had dragged itself to the ration bar and was eating with the desperate efficiency of something starving. Jace's chest tightened. Damn it. He went back inside, grabbed a thermal blanket from his emergency kit and a bowl of water. When he returned, the hatchling had finished the food and was watching him again with those 2 intelligent eyes. "Here," Jace said, setting the bowl down and draping the blanket nearby. "Stay warm, eat, then move along, yeah?" The hatchling didn't move along. Instead, when Jace opened the garage the next morning, he found the creature curled up just inside the door, the thermal blanket wrapped around its small frame. It had followed him inside at some point during the night, silent as starlight. "Oh, come on," Jace groaned. "I'm not running a rescue center here." The hatchling, he needed to stop thinking of it as the hatchling, lifted its head and made a sound. Not a roar or a screech, but something between a chirp and a trill, almost musical. Then it stood on shaky legs and walked over to Jace's workbench, where it sat down and continued watching him. Jace sighed. "Fine, but you stay out of the way." Over the following days, a routine developed. Jace would work on whatever piece of junk someone needed fixed, and the hatchling would watch from the workbench, occasionally tilting its head when Jace explained what he was doing, mostly to himself, but now with an audience. "You're a Veyron class, aren't you?" Jace said one evening, after finally accessing the station's xenobiology database. "Thought your kind were extinct. Homeworld glassed by the Confederation 40 cycles ago." The hatchling, Veyron, the database called his species, made that trilling sound again. "Yeah," Jace said quietly. "I'm sorry." He understood then why Veyron had waited outside his garage for 3 days. The hatchling wasn't just lost. He was the last. The last of his kind, alone on a station full of species that had either forgotten the Veyron existed or had actively participated in their extinction, and Veyron had chosen to trust a human. A species the galaxy called reckless, emotional, irrational, a species that didn't know when to quit, that picked up strays and lost causes like they were collecting debts. "You picked a hell of a species to trust," Jace told him, reaching out slowly. Veyron leaned into his hand, scales warming under his palm. "But I guess humans are good for one thing. We're too stubborn to let go." From that day forward, Veyron didn't leave Jace's side. He perched on the workbench while Jace repaired drives and patched hull breaches. He curled up in the corner during the night cycle, his scales gradually regaining their iridescent shimmer. He grew stronger, larger, his wings stretching wider each week. Word spread through the station about the human mechanic and his dragon. Some laughed. Others whispered. The Confederation observers watched from a distance, wary, but Jace didn't care. He'd found something worth protecting in this cold, indifferent galaxy, and Veyron had found something he thought he'd lost forever. A home. In a universe that had tried to erase him, Veyron had survived by doing the impossible, trusting a human to care when no one else would, and humans, stubborn as they were, never disappointed when it came to caring for those who had nowhere else to turn.